I'd like to convene the meeting of March 6, 1997 of Sacramento Metropolitan Cable Television Commission. Let me read the statement. This meeting of the Sacramento Metropolitan Cable Television Commission is being videotaped its entirety and will be cablecast without interruption on Metro Cable 14, Government Affairs Channel on Sacramento Cable System. Today's meeting is being cablecast live and will be repeated on Saturday, March 8th at noon. A VHS copy is also available for checkout from any library branch. Members of the audience wishing to address the cable should fill out a speaker identification form located on the back table and to give it to the secretary. Please speak into the microphone when addressing the commission and state your name for the record. With that, we'd like to take let me first welcome Anthony Gora from, where are you from, Anthony?
Galt.
No, I'm Harold. Anthony, he's from Galt. Understand me, I clown like that sometimes. That's just my nature.
Harold.
Next to Harold.
Right to Harold, okay.
Thank you, Sam.
All righty. First item is to elect a chairperson and a vice chairperson. Oh, I'm sorry. Can we have roll call? You see, I'm new at this job. I'm learning, doing the best I can.
Sorry about that.
I took this job under forfeit.
Oh, my mic was off also. Okay.
Hey,
Cox? Collin?
Here.
Natoli?
Here.
Dickinson? Yee?
Here.
Waters?
Here.
Gora?
Here.
Pennell?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Please read item 1.
Elect chairperson and vice chairperson.
Nominations are now open for chairperson of the commission.
I'll nominate the Honorable Sam Pennell.
I'll second.
No, that's fine, because just so the city knows who they want. Right.
Well, it's either Jimmy or me, so we're going to get together and
I
bought them lunch today, Isla, so I twisted their arms to get their vote.
I can imagine. Okay.
It's been moved and seconded that Sam Pennell be elected chairperson. Any other nominations?
Want a voice vote?
Yeah, I'll take a
roll
voice
call.
vote. Give me a roll call.
No, I'm kidding.
Give me a voice vote. All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Those opposed?
Nay. I mean, excuse me.
That's the way to start out as a new guy on the block, yeah.
That's good. Well, nominate him vice chair
right
there, vice chair for that, just for voting no. No.
All right. Motion's carried. Nomination is now open for vice chair. It has to be somebody from the county or something.
Yeah, I think
What's it said?
It's a county.
it's probably
County or any other area.
It's county. Let's see.
Is that Harold?
Whose turn is it? Is it Natoli's turn?
No, it's Natoli's turn. No, not Natoli's. Yeah, right.
All in favor?
What do you mean not Natoli?
I got
Mr. Chairman, I would nominate Isla Collin as vice chair.
I'll second that. I like it. Isla Collins has been moved and second. Any other nominations?
Close nomination.
Nominations are closed. All in favor, you sign of aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Isla, you are now the vice chair.
This will be wonderful,
That's
Sam.
done. Me and Isla Collins, that ought to be a real good twosome.
Yeah.
All right. Item 2.
We have franchisee licensee general status presentations.
Excuse me, I want to come back to something. Item 10, we just may want to get rid of if the board doesn't have any problems. Will you go to item 10 real quick? Am I right?
Yes, we have
We gonna add it?
No,
Yeah.
River City.
We have River City Cablevision.
Yeah, the River City ownership change.
They've asked us after you agenda it out, but before the Brown Act limitations, if you would extend the authority to approve their transfer by 60 days. They tell us that they expect everything to go fine. They just need some more time to finish up their paperwork.
Okay, so what is the action, Mr.
The action is to revise the end date of March 31st to May 31st in the approval granted previously.
Any people object to that at this point?
That
Any
won't put
questions?
this in jeopardy at all?
No, sir.
Okay, I'll move.
Moved by Mr. Waters. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Mr. Yee. It's now open for discussion.
Was there a revised agenda
Yeah, that's it.
so that it got on the agenda?
Yes.
Yes.
Harry? Okay, then fine, because I have the item, I just didn't have it on the agenda. So.
Any other questions? Okay, all in favor of the motion, sign of aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, Mrs. Spasos, you can take care of that. Now we'll go back to item 2.
Item 2, we have 3 speakers.
3 speakers. Okay. Okay, Mrs. Blanks, would you like to speak, please? A pen.
My name is Ruth Blank. I'm Director of Marketing and Customer Service for Sacramento Cable, and I just wanted to take a very brief time to fill you in on what's been going on the last 3 months since the last Cable Commission meeting. And one thing, obviously, is that Wayne Vowell left, and we currently have no general manager, but Comcast is still doing a national search for a general manager. We expect by the next Cable Commission meeting that we will be able to introduce a new general manager to you. And I want to assure you that in the meantime, everything that needs to be done is getting done. And I want to make sure that you know the people to call at Sacramento Cable if you need anything. And there's me. We have a new Director of Human Resources, Marion Bell Holmes. And Marion came to us with many, many years of experience in the insurance industry, and we've swamped her in her first month here, but we're very glad to have her. Kevin Jones, Director of Finance, is always available to help, and Dave McVicker, Director of Operations. So nothing is slipping by, and please feel free to call any of us with any issues that you might have. In the past 3 months, we haven't slowed down a bit. In fact, we've added 2 new channels. We've added Fox News Channel, and we've added the Golf Channel, which some of you may enjoy. And we've moved 2 channels from a tier. We moved the History Channel and Outdoor Life onto expanded basic because those were very popular channels. We wanted the bulk of our customers to be able to receive them. And we've also added HBO 3 as a benefit to our HBO customers in a package. And as you may know, we've done a pretty thorough channel realignment so that we call it our Find It Fast lineup, so that we've grouped together similar channels, news channels, sports channels, children's channels, family products, and so forth, so that you can tune through a group of channels and find something that you'd like to watch. So that's what we've done in the past few months. In the coming months, you'll see many improvements. We're adding staff in customer service to answer our phones faster, and we have been doing that. And I think you'll see some exciting changes coming with the new ownership. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions by board members, commission members?
What do we have
Mr.
to do to
Waters.
get rid of the golf channel?
Excuse me, Mr. Waters?
We've been tracking the frequency of complaints on the number of rings. Is that under control now and answering the telephone?
February, as a matter of fact, was a great month for us. So yes, it was. We had a very busy period during January, during the channel realignment, and with some weather problems. But February was a good month. So yes, we're tracking.
I must tell you, Ruth, I was pretty happy that the Comcast took in regards the commissioner's complaint about 14. I'm glad that it stayed the way it was and that somebody at least heard what we were saying. I think that most commissioners are probably pretty much happy with that. At least we don't have to, as they say, surf to try and find us.
Right. Glad to come.
Any other questions? Thank you. David McVickers.
Ruth has said it.
So you were just here to back her up?
That's correct.
Okay. I know how that works. Maria Bell Holmes? Okay. That was just for information. There's no action. To give us item 3, please.
Item 3 is grantee status reports. We have 3 areas: general status, a channel change discussion, and consider grantee agreement amendment. We have quite a few speakers on general status, which is 3A, the first 2.
Before you give your report, Mr. Spastos, are you giving it?
No, this is an opportunity for the grantees to speak to you.
Speak. Let me. Do we have? I don't see Mr. Shelby, but do we have this Alma Kenyon here? They're the Citrus Heights representative.
I don't see them in the chamber. They were invited.
Okay. Well. Okay. I did that. This is where the grantees, what I plan to do, I don't want to have the board commission sit here for a half hour for the dog and pony show. I really don't. I've talked to them about that. So I'm going to allocate 10 minutes for all of them. What are these now?
The first two are from Sacramento Educational Consortium. The remaining plus two more that I was just handed are from Access Sacramento.
Okay, I see where this is going. So what we're going to do, I'm going to give all of them 2 minutes. Anybody have any problems? Any board members? 2 minutes, and I'll hold them to 2 minutes.
Are we on item 2?
We're on item 3.
3, okay.
This is
Yeah,
for
3,
them to do
right,
their
right.
presentations.
Well, there was also an amendment.
Liz Rhodes.
3.
Good afternoon. I'm Liz Rhodes. I'm the Executive Director of the Sacramento Educational Cable Consortium, and we're just going to take a few minutes, just two of us. Just a real quick update on what SECC is doing, which you pretty much have in front of you. I did pass out some material to you. There's our monthly program guide that you should be getting anyway. We're this year again running our student educational video program and competition, so you have the entry form in front of you. Our award night is April 17th, so we hope that you'll be able to join us. It'll be held at KVIE. But the bulk of the presentation today, I'd like to highlight one of our very interesting, successful, unique programs. And to present that program to you is Lynn Parr Bartlett. She is the production developer for the San Juan Unified School District. I'm trying to keep us going. Also is in charge of coordinating the 5% project for adult ed. And we have a model here in Sacramento that's been recognized statewide. And Lynn's going to share a little bit of that project with you today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, thank you very much. I'd like to first explain that this folder you can look at later. It highlights all the different ways that we communicate with our students in the wider Sacramento area, and you can look at that later. Let me explain first of all what a 5% is. The state of California gave the school districts, adult education, an opportunity to devote up to 5% of their total student revenues to reaching out to students in a non-traditional and innovative manner, and our district identified that as distance learning. We identified our goal as reaching students that are typically underserved because in most cases they have obstacles to getting into traditional school environments, and we identified that again as distance learning. In the San Juan School District, we have a collaboration between the adult education programs, SECC, Sacramento Cable, adult basic education, early childhood development, and the Sacramento ROP, and we all work as equal partners, and I can truly say that this is an example where the total is greater than the sum of its parts. We began 18 months ago as an experimental program. We didn't really know who our audience was. We just had some assumptions, and we started with a parent education class. The first topic we had was, is your child ready for kindergarten? It was so quickly embraced and more programming was demanded that we now, 18 months later, are putting 7.5 hours of programming on per week, and I'd like to highlight two areas that we're doing programming in. The first is GED test-taking preparation. We started that 6 months ago. We already have 75 enrolled students in the program. We're adding 2 or 3 a week. Our typical student is a woman in her 20s or 30s. She typically has children, a 10th grade education, and she's never taken a GED class. But our television programs reach out to this student, and we have already had 2 of our students successfully take the GED test and pass, and are now looking forward to a better job and life prospects as a result of that. And the teacher that offers the class is a traditional in the classroom GED instructor, and she is overwhelmed by the participation of the students. Another area that I'd like to highlight is English as a second language.
I think you're going to have to hurry up and wrap up. You have about 30 seconds.
400 students involved in ESL in 2 levels, And that's just the enrolled students, and that represents many thousand students that don't enroll because they're too shy. We are successful because of the collaboration. We're successful because we are reaching out to students that haven't been met, whose needs have not been met, and many other things. And I'd be happy to talk further about our program. I do have about a 2-minute tape that you could look at that gives a flavor of just what our programs look like on the air and how our students are involved.
Great.
If we could look at that.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. You've done some really good innovative programming. This will help a lot with some of the setup programs, the ESL.
Do they have? Are they showing the tape today or no?
No, not today. Wouldn't put on the agenda. Won't be shown today.
Yeah, thank you.
Lynn Barnett. Huh?
That was her?
Was that her?
Yes,
That was
that was
it.
the two for the two.
George Hall.
I want to thank the members of the Commission for allowing me this brief moment to express my support for Access Sacramento. I am speaking in support of continuing base level funding for Access Sacramento. I've had a relationship with this organization for in excess of 2 years now, and I have seen their community involvement and support programs continue to grow over that period of time. Currently, they provide services and community support to a number of organizations, some of which you may be familiar with. A few of those include the Community Services Planning Council, Clinica Tapati, a nonprofit resource center, Child Abuse Prevention Council, Francis House, and many others. Again, I'm speaking in support of continuance of base level funding for Access Sacramento. Thank you.
Thank you. Katrina Middleton.
Thank you. My name is Katrina Middleton, and I'm with the Community Services Planning Council. We're proud to be a partner with Access Sacramento on several community projects such as the Sacramento.org project, which links youth and nonprofits. High school students learn about local nonprofits through teleconferencing sessions. They select a nonprofit, interview them, learn about them, and finally create web pages for them. This project especially focuses on the creation of bilingual websites. This project exposes youth to technology and community organizations and volunteerism. It's the epitome of high tech and high touch.
You may enemy today.
Another project is SAC Teens. The SAC Teens project is teens creating a local teen page on the web. It's under construction now, and the official debut date is April 1st. It will include a calendar of area events and editorials and issues and hot links to other websites for additional educational and entertainment information. And these kinds of projects are really needed for our local young people, and they're creative and innovative, and they need your support. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Look, guys, we don't need a dog and pony show when we do this stuff. All I want you guys to do is just have people come up and say,
Okay, the next person is James O'Malley.
so we got 15 people out there signed up.
And after James is Eugene Borak. Hi.
Thank you. My name is Jim O'Malley. I'm the Director of the Workforce Development Department, Sacramento County Office of Education. And very quickly, I want to give our support for Access Sacramento and a partnership we've had over the years in giving young students the opportunity to produce, to broadcast, to act, and do all of the things that are necessary in putting television programs on the air in partnership with Access Sacramento. It's been a very great opportunity for our students to get into the industry and to get involved with the industry, and it's given us an opportunity to place a lot of students there. Again, on behalf of the County Office of Education, Superintendent Dave Meany, and the Board of Education, we are in support of Access Sacramento.
Thank you very much. Okay, the next speaker, Eugene Borak, and after Eugene is going to be Denise Blair.
I'm Vice President of the Sacramento Youth Symphony. Access Sacramento has been recording and televising all of our premier concert series. I think a value that is self-evident. I'd like to take the rest of my time to show a portion of what they've been doing in our concert. If I could run that, it'll be about 2 minutes.
Is there somebody back there to run?
Somebody should be there. Yeah, they're set up, ready to go.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Just taking his time to run the 2-minute thing. And that was Mr. Borak. Students. Thank you. That's the Youth Symphony, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, it looked like Michael Newman. Was it Michael Newman?
Yes.
Yes, clean-shaven Michael Newman, yeah. So-
Made us all very mellow.
That's right.
Yes, thank you.
I hope you're awake, though. I'm Denise Blair, and thank you for hearing me today. I've been before you before in the past asking for your support for Access Sacramento, but today it's time to thank you for that support. As a member of Toastmasters International, I thank you for providing us with a platform in which to showcase the communication and leadership training available through Toastmasters, all because Access Sacramento has been there for us. My husband and I have produced 85 one-hour Toastmaster meetings over the last 4 years in the Access studio, which are cablecast over those channels. This series has offered people the opportunity to sit in a meeting being held on television. It provides them a non-threatening environment before venturing out to find a club that they do want to join. I've heard from people again and again how Toastmasters on television has given them the courage to join Toastmasters. This would not have been possible without your support. As a businesswoman, I thank you for providing a platform for presenting and debating current issues that impact our community, our state, and the nation. We've produced 12 episodes of Counterpoint, a 30-minute program which addresses issues such as healthcare, education, Proposition 209, and the media. Again, this would not have been possible without your support. Access Sacramento provides the opportunity for our community to learn how to voice their opinions and provides the vehicle to have those issues heard. Nonprofit organizations are able to showcase their services and remain within their funding constraints. More people can now find the services that they need. I personally wanted to tell you how much I appreciate being able to use the facilities and equipment at Access Sacramento in my efforts to better our community over the past 8 years. Thank you for the support you've provided us in the past, and my sincerest gratitude for your continued support in our future. Thank you.
Thank you. Melinda Wiley.
It's Willie.
I was never great on my ebonics. I'm doing the best I can.
Okay. I'm Melinda Willie. I'm the Media Relations Director for the Capital Shrine Bowl, which is the major fundraiser for the Shriners Children's Hospital that's opening here April 1st of this year. I need to give you a little bit of background of why the Shriners Children's Hospital is so special and how Access Sacramento helped us last year and put on the first annual Capital Shrine Bowl here in town. We're going to hopefully become like the East-West Shrine Game and become an annual event here in Sacramento at Sac City College. It's the top 2 teams in the state of California that will be playing at Sac City College every year from now on. The reason that Access Sacramento was so important to us is because the Shriners Children's Hospital is the largest philanthropic organization in the world. We take no funding from insurance companies. We take no funds from the parents of the children that are treated there. We take no monies from the local, state, or federal government. Every child that's treated at the Shriners Children's Hospital is treated totally free from birth to the age of 18 years old. So although you may see a $78 million facility going up over at Stockton and X Street, that facility has been totally built on donations. We are totally a true nonprofit organization. So when we decided to put on the Capital Shrine Bowl at Sac City College this year, it was very important that we get the information out to the community. The way that we were able to do that was to team up with Ron Cooper and his team over at Access Sacramento, and for a minimal payment to Access Sacramento, have our football game put on the air. It ran several times. His team came out and filled the whole game. We had lots of interviews with local people explaining what the hospital was about, explaining the game. So for a minimal charge to our hospital, we were able to tell a whole community about the Shriners Hospital through the vehicle of our Shriners Capital Bowl game. We couldn't have done it on a network affiliate like KCRA, KXTV, any of those stations, because it would have been cost prohibitive. So our nonprofit organization, linking up with yours, created a synergy so that we were able to get this information out to the community, and it will totally serve the children. And that's what I'm here to thank you for today, is giving us the vehicle to start using Access Cable on a yearly basis, hopefully, to get this information out so that we can continually to treat children free of charge. Thank you.
Thank you.
Here's a picture of our hospital if you're interested.
Yeah, it's getting there. It's going to be on postcards, is it? Yeah. It's really nice.
Dr. William Bronston.
Hello there, Mr.
How you doing, sir?
I'm representing the
Johnson.
Tower of Youth, which began a couple of years ago. We're going to be organizing all the high school age youth in this community, in the region, in the area of telecommunications, entertainment, arts, and media. We're going to probably put a $2 or $3 million building on the ground that will be privately held with a youth board and corporation that will become a media corporation. And we're in the process of developing an understanding with Sacramento Access in terms of providing the television training and with the ROP system built into that. The file that I've given you is just some of the very most preliminary work that we've done in the last 8 months, putting together a cohort of youth from 16 schools involved in graphic digital computer communications with a one-minute digital movie contest that culminated at the SMUD Auditorium a couple of weeks ago, and then beginning a Youth Broadcast and Media Association for the first time, which is probably of national significance, tapping into all the youth involved in radio, television, film, and multimedia journalism that will become its own power structure and its own generator. And then linking up with the Linnea Theater Festival, which is without question the largest high school theater event probably in the country. 46 high schools came in a showcase 2-day performance that's totally invisible, that I'm sure none of you know about, that has got to be one of the most inspiring and amazing events in youth creativity that I've ever seen. Access Sacramento came in, they did 4 one-act plays that they put in the can live that are going to be shown sometime in the middle of this month. So my request to you, I guess, would be to maybe double their budget, because I think they need to do more. They're not doing enough. They need to be doing more with youth in the community, which they're already leading in, but it's still a spit in the bucket. And I really think that that the role that they play should really be rethought in a very aggressive way. I think that Sacramento Cable probably should be returned to bring more money into community cable, and especially for young people. What's missing that has to be built is an actual youth power structure that can generate its own voice with its own agenda under the color of Sacramento Access. Kids right now do not have the equipment. Their schools are underserved, under-equipped. We have to bring in all the software, all the memory, most of the equipment in order to then be involved in the one-minute digital movie contest. So there is a gap here that is so enormous and so severe that unless you look carefully at it, you'll miss it, and the kids will maybe miss a very significant role in their future. This organization is one of the very few organizations that's offering them even token access to major equipment and major technology that's vital for their employment in the immediate future. So not just continue their money, I think it needs to be aggressively relooked at to add to it with demands made to enhance and expand the work that's going on for the general educational population. It's wonderful, and it's nowhere near enough.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bill. Thanks, Bill.
James Baker.
Thank you. My name is James Baker, Dean of Learning Resources at Summer River College. I'm here today on behalf of Marilee Lewis, our president, who was detained and could not make it. I won't go into a lot of the details you've already heard, except to tell you that our partnership with Access is unique in all the state. It is one that will allow both the college students to benefit and Access to benefit. The partnership we have gives our students and gives Access the possibility and the potential to produce Friday, Saturday, Sunday programming for Access, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday education for our students. It will have a direct effect on almost 4,000 students a year. It's just a phenomenal opportunity, and without your support, without Access support, we couldn't do it. So we will have available to your students, or to our students and to your Access subscribers, things like advanced technology and graphics, satellite uplinking, downlinking, any type of multimedia graphics, integrating learning centers, all those for the students and for Access. And we could not have done it without the participation of Access Sacramento. Thank you.
Thank you. Janelle Beelan.
Hi. I'm Janelle Beeland. I'm the Director of Operations for the California Channel. And the California Channel is a state nonprofit public affairs network which broadcasts the proceedings of the state legislature, primarily floor sessions and committee hearing rooms. We've recently developed a collaborative effort with Access Sacramento that'll allow us to utilize their equipment and volunteers in order to expand our public affairs government programming and include maybe some state boards and commission hearings and expand the overall access to state government proceedings to not only in Sacramento but also throughout the entire state. We're currently on 98 cable systems serving almost 4.5 million viewers, and we want to encourage your continued support of Access Sacramento and its community-based efforts. Thank you.
Thank you. Joanne Bielek.
Want me to give you some help?
I chair the philosophy department at Sacramento City College, and I really didn't come for any agenda. I came to say thank you to Access Sacramento and Jeff Howitt's program Livewire for allowing me to bring art pieces from some of my 500 students per semester and to show how we talk about African and Asian and world philosophy and how students love coming. I also want to thank Access Sacramento for allowing things like the Jazz Festival. It's nice to see my students Joyce Diamond long after they've completed our school and are performing in Oak Park. And I want to thank the members of the commission, which is really what I came here for those of you who listened and stayed, while those of us who have very busy lives and usually are going home and grading papers till 2 in the morning spoke to you to say we really would like you to represent our community, and those who can't because they are working 3 and 4 jobs be here to speak on their own behalf. So for those of you who cared that much, I thank you, and we will remember you.
Thank you. Here you go.
Bill Davies.
Very good.
Hello, my name is Bill Davies. I'm actually president of a computer user group here in town. I want to speak on behalf of Access Sacramento. I want to thank them for what they're doing for the community. We have entered into a collaboration with them on some internet type of issues. As you are probably keenly aware, this is a time of great convergence of different types of media, cable, television, internet, TV. There are some very good projects going on over at Access Sacramento. We're trying to support them in every possible way that we can, and we encourage your continued support. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dexter McNamara.
Thank you for the chance to speak to you very briefly. My name is Dexter McNamara. I'm the director of the Interfaith Service Bureau, which is a parent organization of the Religious Coalition for Cable TV, RCC-TV. And I simply wanted to take a chance to update you on a concern that we had raised about the realignment that took place at the end of January and the negative impact that realignment has had on viewers of RCC-TV, as that RCC-TV was moved from Channel 20 to Channel 75. One of our concerns was what will that do to general viewership? That is quite beyond the serfdom, as it were, and that's exactly what has happened. It has led for us in one of our producers who has chosen to drop broadcasting because he felt that no longer would that really be accessible to the public. Another producer of a series of programs said that he has had a 90% drop-off in the number of people calling in with personal and spiritual questions, and he's really concerned about that. The commitment of RCC-TV to this community has been and will continue to be to supply quality faith and values broadcasting for our community. And I simply want to express again a concern when that seems to be was given such a very low priority in terms of the realignment. Thank you.
Thank you. Lloyd Ransom.
I'm Lloyd Hanson,
I'm sorry.
chair of the Religious Coalition on Television Advisory Committee, speaking to just what Dexter McNamara just said. When the proposed change of channels was discussed, the committee was unanimous in wanting to have access to the public debate. This apparently was not possible. I would urge that in the future, if changes like this be made, there would be arrangements for a public hearing on matters like this. Thank you.
Reverend Hanson, let me just tell you, at least from the commission standpoint, if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Spastos, we have no say per se based upon the charter of them realigning channels. We can have all the meetings and do all the feel-good sessions everybody wants to do. Bottom line, we cannot control what they do. We can advise, we can ask them, and that's what we try to do. But in retrospect, we cannot take any action up here to stop them from doing what they did. And I think you need to be aware of that.
I understand.
Okay, I don't want that. I mean, we can pray to the Lord and hope that he sees what we see, but that doesn't mean that they're going to see what we see.
We understand. We've had communication back, and we understand that's the way it is. But whatever could be done in the future.
We have no problem in trying to do that.
Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Ms. Cox.
Well, in all due respect, and to the two gentlemen who just spoke, I want to concur that Comcast, when they came to town, jived us and shucked us about how good a corporate citizen they were going to be. They didn't do that. They just, the one corporate officer who stood where you are standing just flat lied to us. And then when push comes to shove, in terms of asking them to stand with their promise that they made when they stood at that podium, they simply said, well, we will not interfere with the operations in Sacramento. That will be the local jurisdiction that makes that decision. And I'm saying it to the lady who is the representative of Comcast and to Comcast in general. I do not think that they served themselves well. I think they lied to us. And I frankly take great offense at that. And so I'm still recognizing what Mr. Pinnell has said, Mr. Dickinson on one end and I on the other end, and people in the middle. We heard what Comcast said to us. And it is a continual, and I have been a large supporter of cable television, but it's a continual erosion of good faith that the cable companies display when they come and act in the manner in which they've acted. Whether we have any jurisdiction or not, the gentleman could at least told us the truth. It won't make any difference what you say. We're going to do what we want to do based upon what we think is best for our stockholders. And I'd have understood that. But they didn't say that. They simply said to us, no, we'll look out. We're interested in the community, and we'll be good corporate citizens. But so far, they haven't demonstrated that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Ms. Cox. Thank you, Reverend. Mary Jane Pop.
My name is Mary Jane Popp, and I've probably interviewed most of this cable commission at one time or another in radio and television. Been in Sacramento since 1977, and I'm proud to say I'm now the outreach program producer for Access Cable Sacramento. And it's going to be great because it's going to be called Primetime Sacramento. And Ron Cooper told me I only have 1 minute, so I even brought my own stopwatch. I'm going to start it right now and tell you that Primetime Sacramento is going to have a much more commercial broadcast quality look to it, but still keeping with the mandate of what Access Cable is all about, and that is dedicated to the community, its wishes, its dreams, its hopes, and obviously the issues to which we are reflecting. So the idea is to have more people watching this. In order to watch more cable, you have to have a better look to it. That's what I'm trying to do. The community has been absolutely unbelievable in their response to my going to them and reaching out and saying, give me programming ideas. I will help you. I will help you produce these programs. I would also entertain any ideas from the Cable Commission itself. If you have some ideas for programming or people to talk to, please feel free to contact me, because the whole idea is that Primetime Sacramento is dedicated to commercial and community broadcast quality and taking it to new heights and hopefully reflecting the commercial broadcast system to do the same thing. Thank you. Gosh, Ron, I get it in even less than that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good to see you again, Mary Jane.
Larry Klein.
46 seconds.
Hi, I'm Larry Klein, the Director of Athletic Development, and on behalf of Sacramento State, I'd like to thank the Commission and Ron Cooper and Access Sacramento for the opportunity to be a part of the programming this last year. We have entered into the Big Sky Conference, and it's a Division I athletics program, and we have a lot of passion and vision, and the opportunity for us to be on Access Sacramento delayed broadcast this year in football and in basketball And we also had a coaches show on Sundays that was aired 2 or 3 times during the course of the week. Really provided our university athletics program with a lot of visibility. And I think that's going to help us with recruiting high-powered and quality student athletes to come to the Sacramento region. I also think the opportunity that we were on cable TV also showcases the University of the Sacramento region. And I think that's a very positive opportunity for us. And I think the most important thing is that it showcased the Sacramento community. And we're very proud of that. And we're looking forward to future associations in that relationship. Thank you.
Thank you. Jan Tillman?
See you.
Mr. Chairman, is this the first of item C? Oh, this is still an A? Okay. I was going to introduce C for
item C. No, we're on
Taking all the bites at the apple.
3 and Jan is, they're all speaking on the same thing. We mixed them all up.
Put them all together.
We put them all together. Whoops, we started you too soon.
Yeah, we put them all together. We're just going to take the action on all of them.
All right.
So you want to separate them?
Are you ready, Jan?
I have no problem with it.
Okay.
Good afternoon, Commission members. Welcome, Mr. Gore. I'm Jan Tillman from KVIE, the only speaker today for KVIE. I'm the Executive Director for Programming and Production on Channel 6 and Channel 7. What I just passed out to you is a cheat sheet, essentially. We've talked quite a bit about the new local programming efforts at KVIE. A number of you have participated in some of these programs. The first, at the top of the list are the new local shows and their air dates. You have a variety of viewing options on Channel 6 and Channel 7. You may have read recently that Betty Vasquez has just joined us as the regular host of Central Valley Chronicles. I wanted to also bring your attention to some specials coming up tonight, 8 o'clock on Channel 6. Colm Wilkinson will be live in our studio with the irrepressible Van Soder. There will be programming with music from Les Mis, Phantom, Evita, and others. And on Sunday, Matthew Margolis of Wolf fame will be in the studio. Riverdance returns this month, and a new show, Lord of the Dance, with the same dance troupe. That was enormously popular for us. So, that's great. Coming up, we have a national documentary called Brain Attack, and it deals with a very important issue, which is new treatment for stroke. It's an important public service program, and it will be distributed nationally. We also have a documentary coming up in June, a local show I think you'll find interesting, Crisis in Education, the Sacramento City Schools June report card. We're all looking forward to that. I'd like to just give you a little bit of information on Channel 7 programming changes. As we brought to your attention in the last meeting, we are in the process of searching for and acquiring some new non-English programming for scheduling on Channel 7. We have identified Hmong, Russian, German, Asian, and French product. It will begin to be phased into our schedule in June. Just today, I found a program that is a weekly live interactive 1-hour show in Spanish that is medical information and health. So we're excited about the kinds of things that we're finding, but we are also finding this is a slow process. We have standards conversions issues, and we have some cost issues associated with the acquisition of the new product, but we are excited about doing it. I want to thank the Commission for their support, and if there's any more consideration about doubling those grants, I'll vote for it.
Thank you.
The other item that's part of this group is item C,
right.
And it was our request regarding a change in the underwriting language. If you want to address that now.
Go ahead.
Let me stop this very briefly, Mr. Chairman. There's under item 3C is a request from KVIE to amend the grantee agreements to eliminate the restriction on underwriting during program breaks. That would bring your grantee agreements into line with current FCC practices, which I've included here for you. Staff sees it as a discretionary item on your part. We have no recommendation either way. That's a summary. I'll let Jan, who's the proponent, take it from there.
Yeah, I just had one question, Jan. I'm very supportive of the change, and this will bring it in line with the FCC recommendations then.
Yes.
And that's all I was concerned about, was we were giving the same latitude with this language that the FCC is now giving the nonprofits and educational stations, et cetera.
Yes, this is the practice that KVIE has adopted as a nonprofit public television station.
Okay, great.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? I'm sorry. Thank you. Bill White?
That is an action item, Mr. Chairman.
No, Bill White's the last one.
It's an action item. I was going to make a motion on it, but we'll wait till after Bill. Hi, Bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. I'm Bill White. I'm privileged to serve Access Sacramento as chairman of its board of directors. We prepared a statement, which I think you either have before you or you're about to get. I'm not going to take your time to read that statement to you. I don't think it tells you anything new. I just like to briefly summarize its key points as I see them. One is we think the channel change was a bad decision. We think it was handled badly by Comcast's own admission. That was so. We are appreciative of what Ruth Blank and other people at Sacramento Cable did to facilitate and ease the transition, although we found it very confusing. A number of our subscribers attested to that. What we want to do really is look to the future. I certainly can understand the legalities that are involved, or lack of legality. But on the other hand, we think that trust has been violated here. We were working very hard to establish that trust over the years with Sacramento Cable and more recently with Comcast. And we think that they have not walked the talk. We're afraid of what that might bode for the future of public access. And we really earnestly ask the Commission to encourage the Sacramento Cable and its new owners to, when issues like this affect the channels, to have some dialogue, to have some discussion at least, preferably in an open forum before the Commission here, before such far-reaching decisions are taken in the future. And I thank you for your time.
Thanks, Bill.
Bill, I have a question. I want to understand access. How many board members do you have?
We have 15.
Can you give me a breakdown of them? Ethnically, how they broke down?
A breakdown by what?
Ethnicity.
Ethnicity?
I think that, and we've had a packet that gives us all the names of all the access.
I understand.
Yeah.
I'd like to have him explain it to me.
Yes. My mind is a little bit blank at the moment. I will ask.
But there's a total of 15 members on it?
Yes. Not all of them are seated at the present time. We have a few vacancies.
Okay. So how many are presently filled? 13, 12?
I believe.
Well, you can let
12.
Ron answer.
They've just recently seated one person.
I'm Ron Cooper, Executive Director of Access Sacramento. There are 15 seats, currently 12 are filled. There's an annual membership election, so the ballot is being created for filling the remainder of the seats. And off the top of my head, in terms of ethnic breakup, let's see, we have 1 Hispanic, we have 4 African American, we have 9 male, 3 female, and then the remainder are white. So that's
no problem. How many staffers do you have?
We have a total of 11 full-time staff.
11? How many are management?
Well, there's the executive director. I mean,
whatever you consider management, I don't know what management is.
Okay. Well, since we manage...
If you manage one person, some people consider that management. I don't know.
We manage volunteers, okay? So as executive director, I'm contracted with the board of directors in terms of oversight of the organization. On the programming side, we have a program coordinator who then coordinates volunteer activities and the schedule. of activities. We have an office manager that manages then the membership and the involvement of our volunteers. On the production side, we have a radio coordinator who manages radio. We have 2 production directors who manage video production. And then we have our media lab, which is now the new technologies, interface with the internet and training on computers. And we have our development director who does double duty as manager of the media center and also as the development director. So I would consider those to be management positions.
That's so that comes up to your 11 or 7?
7.
7?
7?
7 out of 12.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
No, that's all I want.
Okay.
Thank you, Bill. Any other questions by board members?
But I would move the resolution that we have here, which is the grantee amendment.
Second.
Been seconded by Mr. Gore, moved by Mrs. Collins. Is there any other discussion? All in favor, you sign of aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, you same sign. Motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, item 4, the City of Citrus Heights, 2 aspects of this. In your packet, there's a letter dated the 12th of February. To begin with, in December, we took to you a policy recommendation relative to distribution of revenues for Citrus Heights. There was some question as to whether the full authority was in place for that. An opinion was issued by County Council that required the City of Citrus Heights to adopt an ordinance, which they have. My advice of Council now is that all authority necessary to make the distribution of funds to Citrus Heights and to the other entities is in place, and I will do so in May, as we discussed in December, unless today you tell me otherwise. I can give you the numbers of that distribution for your jurisdictions now if you'd like.
Why would you do that, please? Put that on the record.
Right now, under your budget authorization as you provided, and given our best estimate of what the revenues will be for the year from Sacramento Cable, plus or minus 1%, the county will be getting $602,000 and change. The City of Sacramento, $369,000 and change. Citrus Heights, $19,700. City of Folsom, $34,900. City of Galt, approximately $12,000.
Thank you.
That's an information item. Second thing is that, as you can see from the letter, there's two other aspects. The City of Citrus Heights is asked to be represented on your commission to become a member agency. The Cable Television Ordinance does not address representation issues. I met last week, Harry set it up with the executive director of SACOG. I have spoken with executive directors of several of the other JPAs. I would like you to understand that this issue has been referred back to staff. We want to research it. We'd like to approach this from several perspectives. One is that as you sit in that chair from other JPAs, we try and come forward with some type of common process or common theories or concepts on bringing Citrus Heights into the fold. 2, there's some analytical work involved of trying to figure out representation in different configurations and how that might work. And 3, it's possible that there will be other incorporations over time. So we're looking for a model that will allow us to move forward in the future. So if you will, we'd like to bring back to you at our next meeting recommendations for an ordinance amendment that would formally allow Citrus Heights to sit on your board. That will require the Cable Commission approval, as well as approval of all the jurisdictions, including Citrus Heights, to do that. We don't have it staffed yet, but we're looking at some longer range policies and procedures. That's an item. I don't think there's action necessary. We're working on it. The second part of this is that the City of Citrus Heights has asked to be cable cast. Under your existing authority...
Oh, if you're going to go into another subject, let me just ask one question on that subject of what you're going to be bringing back, because I would assume that what you bring back would have some concern to Folsom and Galt, since they share a seat, and together might have somewhat the same population that Citrus Heights has. So I don't know how you're really going to handle that, either with augmentations or what, but just so I would assume that would be some concern that they'd want to know how that's going to be handled equitably.
I think that with Citrus Heights Incorporating, there's a full panoply of issues.
True.
And it cuts across not only this commission, but other JPAs that exist in Sacramento County. And our thought is to talk to the different member agencies, their council, their administrators, as well as Citrus Heights, and to see if there's a community of interest, and then bring back to the different, to the commission alternatives that you could look at and see if they meet with your desires And then obviously each one of the member agencies, boards, or councils needs to look at it and see if it meets their desires before there can be an amendment that would go forward that would be effective. So I think it's a long process, but it's a process that we like to start, at least with small baby steps going forward and looking at.
Okay, because I recognize on the LAFCO commission, it was a council of mayors until there was a disagreement, and then it took state legislation, which put Sacramento by itself in charge of its appointment, and still lumped Folsom and Ileton and Galt together as one in the city's category. But that's a model where the state had to step in and do something. And so I assume there's just a great deal of models out there that you'll have to look at.
There's going to be a fair amount of research, and I think Harriet says it best. I doubt if we're going to land on one recommendation. We will be bringing you some alternatives and the best we can, the sense of the other jurisdictions. Bottom line, with all these changes going on with Citrus Heights, I don't think the Cable Commission needs to get out in front of this issue. This is a bigger issue for other jurisdictions. We want to work together and do the same research. We'll have some analytical numbers, but if you look at the construct of your board now, the numbers don't make the decision. You made a policy decision early on in the way that Folsom and Galt were treated that doesn't balance out number-wise. If you make that policy decision again with a third city, that's fine.
That's very true, because at that time, obviously, there was no cable anywhere in the whole county. So it took all the jurisdictions working together to create what we had. So,
okay, Mr. Waters.
Yeah, basically, I touched on what I was going to say, but I see two name tags up here. Have you come up with a number yet, or one of those supposed to be an alternate, or what it would? I guess that's what you would basically.
What I discussed with staff, the representatives of the city of Citrus Heights had said that they wished to participate, and I discussed with the chairperson and staff that were they here today, it would have been his discretion to have invited them to sit with you as an ex officio, and that would have been his and your discretion. I don't see them in the chambers, but they had expressed, when I made a presentation to their council meeting, interest in participating. So we were planning for that contingency.
I agree. We shouldn't be out front on it then. That's all, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Anybody else?
The last part of this is that while Citrus Heights is not a member agency of your commission, unless you advise me otherwise, I intend to keep cable casting their meetings in the community interest.
No problem. I think you need to go ahead and do it.
Yep.
I don't see anybody to send it. Okay.
Next item is a personnel request. The contract I negotiated with the city manager and county exec 3 years ago now includes a provision which allows me to do outside work upon your express approval. I am now asking for that with some parameters which I've discussed, or some conditions, restrictions which have been developed in consultation with council. I'll note that our research indicates that neither the city nor the county has limitations on this type of activity.
Question.
Mr. Honors.
In reading your staff report, Rich, I didn't see where, if this outside employment, and you go through all the steps, which I think are fine, what do? Take a vacation day from to do this then, so that you don't have a conflict?
Absolutely.
So
or do it at night or my own hours, my own time.
But as far as it wouldn't interfere with your 40 hours a week that you put in now?
Absolutely.
I think maybe we could put that in, Harriet, just to, so there's no misunderstanding down the road.
That'd be fine.
That'd be fine.
Okay. Anybody else?
Is that going to come back to us, or is?
So if, with the council's indulgence, or the commission's indulgence, we could add a D that said that it shall not interfere with his work for the commission. Would that cover your concern?
That's fine, just so it doesn't go on at the same time, right?
Is that okay with you?
Rich, who are you responsible to right now?
All of you.
So when you take this day, who's to be notified? Notify yourself or what?
No, I will notify you of an agreement that I enter into.
Okay.
If you want me to notify you on a daily basis, I'd be glad to.
I think you need to notify somebody so somebody will know something. That's why I asked the question I asked. I thought maybe,
we maintain timesheets. I will clearly annotate those days in my timesheet and forward a copy to the chair if you'd like.
Well, let me ask the question. If in fact you enter into an outside agreement with somebody, would you not have some type of week or 2-week notice?
Yes.
Okay, if in fact that happens, anytime you do that, I'd like that paperwork to come before the body, so they will know.
I'm not sure I understand.
So,
let me explain, Harry. If in fact he enters into an agreement for an outside job, that we will know that he will be away from here at a certain amount of days or time, is what I'm saying. So it can be, I don't care how you do it, it can be done in memo form or whichever, to whoever's in the chair.
okay, so you would want the chair notified.
Right.
I mean, you will be notified when he enters into an agreement for outside work.
Right.
And then he would notify the chair that will mean that he will be out of the office on...
If it's 4 days, 5 days, or whatever.
Over the next 4 months or something along those lines. And then obviously his timesheets would reflect vacation days or...
You're talking about days then, Mr. Chair, that would involve away from work during daytime, what he does in his evenings or weekends.
That's his own business, I believe, once he does his 40 hours, yes.
So all he needs to notice in those days where he would normally be at work.
I don't have a problem, Mr. Tully, that's fine with me. Okay?
Yep.
Mr. Cox?
I want to be sure that the agreement says that there will be no interference with the activity of the business activity of the commission. And I'm appreciative of the fact that some of the work can be done in the evening. Some of it could be done on Saturdays and Sundays. But to the extent that there's a requirement to be a consultant outside of Sacramento and requires days of travel, my concern is, does it have any impact, that it does not have any impact on the operations of the Cable Commission. And let me say it a different way. This ought not to be a situation where the tail begins to wag the dog.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Understand.
Yes, sir, Mr. Cox. Does that mean we choked the dog? Okay.
So if you would like, you could add a subdivision D to the list of criteria that would say that the outside employment...
I would much rather you redo it and bring it back than to have us sit here and try and work it out.
I think she's just clarifying, Mr. Chair.
Clarifying D?
Maybe give her...
We're trying to do a D and then...
Yeah. Maybe give her an idea so when she brings it back, I think she was... Let her maybe explain. I would like to hear explanation so she knows when she brings it back that we have it clear, so...
Right.
Okay.
So we would add something that said that the outside employment won't interfere with Rich's work for the commission. Would that be sufficient, or do you want something also that says, and the work for the commission shall take priority, which I think is understood, but would that be sufficient?
That's fine. My interest would be in resolving this today.
Yeah, I think the only other issue is that
we can resolve it, that's fine, but I'm not going to get bogged down with it, but we'll try. Mr. Cox, does that solve your...
Well, I think it does, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Mr. Tolley?
No, I'm fine. I wanted to hear it out, so I mean, if we can do it today, I'm okay with the wording that Mr.
No one seems to be jumping up and doing flips, so that's fine.
Mr. Pinello, are you including that notification also to the chair, or?
Yes.
Okay. Then is it okay to move for
I don't
approval?
have a problem. Yeah, we can
with
move
the
it.
amended
With the amendments?
Right.
Chair to entertain a motion.
I'll move.
Mr. Yee moves it. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Waters. Any more discussion? We're moving the contract outside agreement with the changes. All in favor, you sign of aye.
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 Those opposed, use the same sign. Motion passes. All right. Next
Mr. Chairman, item 6 is in a sense, a negative action. You have given me a policy direction to advise the community programming grantees to base their 97, 98 budgets on the resolution included under this item. Unless you tell me otherwise, that's the notification that will go out to the grantees.
Is there any discussion on the budget, that preliminary budget is being put before the body? Hearing none, Chair, entertain. Is anyone out there to speak on the budget? You turned in a... Lord have mercy. Come up to the mic, please. Please give us your name and you fill out a form after you speak.
Okay, no, I returned that form in. It was on item, I wanted to speak on item 3 and item 6. I'm Liz Rhodes, Executive Director of the Sacramento Educational Cable Consortium. And Ron Cooper and I have been talking about and discussing several items over the last 6 months. And I guess Mr. Cooper also spoke briefly with Mr. Esposito. And what we want to hand to you is just a very preliminary concept for your consideration. We'd like to come back to you at your next meeting with a little bit more discussion on it. What we have discovered in our past 12 years in working with community programming is that it's growing tremendously here in Sacramento. There are some communities that are not being served in the sense of being able to originate programming, and that there are no facilities out in those areas. So in concept, what we are asking is for some consideration of any additional funds above and beyond your budget when they're put together. If you have outside funds cable related that come in, that you give consideration to a concept of coming together with a joint venture, one-time expenditure facility. And the key areas that we're looking at right now are Folsom and Galt. And the idea behind these joint venture facilities, when I say joint venture, it would involve government, it would involve the schools, and public access, and a place much as what we have done down in Cosumnes River College, where we've established a facility there. We've established the facilities at CSUS in San Juan, where a facility can be established so that live meetings, live courses, live kinds of community programming can occur and be hooked in. We understand there is no money at this time. But what we're looking at is, and what we'd like to come back to you is with some very early preliminary figures, if this is something that you would be interested in entertaining, kind of having on the back burner with the idea that should money become available, but this would be something that you could look at. So in a nutshell, that's pretty much what you have in front of you. Like I said, we would like, both Ron and I would like to be able to explore a little bit more with Rich and some of the other community members, especially down in Galt. We've already talked with the superintendent down there. Ron's had conversations with folks up in Folsom, with community college and with other areas to determine if this is something that is worthwhile considering, especially considering the needs of those communities for origination facilities.
And apparently, given the previous discussion, anticipating, as Rich is trying to do with Citrus Heights, what we find is that physical proximity to production means greater production and more involvement by those communities. So I echo Liz's thoughts, and we look forward to continuing that discussion.
Question.
Ms. Yu?
Do you have any idea what these costs are?
We'd like to come back to you with those costs at your next meeting if this is something that you are interested in. Before we go and start talking to people and getting them excited about it, we needed to know at least if there was interest on your end to pursue something along these lines.
I thought I was watching Tony Gora live, but it's replay or what?
It's delayed broadcast.
It's delayed. Okay.
But they do come down to the meetings though. But do you have to set it? They have to set it up down there though.
They set up down there, the concern that I had during the election, and that's only once every 2 years, is that all the candidates had to come downtown to Sacramento, and so it lost the participation of the local audiences being there. I complained about that vociferously at the time, and I think it was something that should be rectified.
And there are the same considerations and concerns from the school people, from the other community members for just general community programming, and the same concerns that are happening, and we hear it quite frequently up in Folsom also. So that was the idea.
All right.
Chair.
Mr. Toley?
Yeah, I would just comment that I'm certainly open to the idea. I think that we have outlying areas in the county is very large county geographically, and that, again, not having an idea what the cost may be, and certainly there would be some ongoing responsibility for maintenance and equipment update and that type of thing. But I think it's worth pursuing, and I would be interested to learn a little more. I would just caution Liz and Ron, though, even if you go out and solicit more information, that don't get people too excited about it, because it certainly depends about funding, and I think you maybe build an expectation that may not be able to be met. Even this commission concurred on the matter at this point in time. So, but I would be interested in hearing some more information on it.
Well, I think it comes back down to, do we ask Mr. Spastos to get out and try and bring the numbers? He's the staffer for this commission. And I think that if they're going to do something, it has to be done hand in hand with him and brought back to us to let us look at it, and that's what I would suggest, in fact, happens. They can get all the numbers they want right now. I'm not exactly spinning wheels unless I get something from staff to see what the costs are. And that's pretty much where I am, unless the commission wants to do something else. And I understand Mr. Gore's point. If he wants to volunteer to get involved in that, that's fine too. a good way to get him involved, Donnie.
Yeah, maybe I just ask Rich then. Rich, is that something that could be pulled together fairly easy? I mean, you have a pretty good idea of
What the costs are?
I actually have the numbers already from
So
several
could you
sites.
put that in the report for us? I'm not worried. I want to see what comes back from staff or what the cost might be.
Yeah, I can pop them off
I don't-
fairly quickly. The thing is that I asked Sac Cable for numbers. There are other alternatives besides Sac Cable. I'll pull those together for you. You're in the $100,000 range to do the 2 or 3 sites.
Okay, well, if you can bring that back and then the alternatives that we have. Is that okay, Mr.
Yeah,
Bell?
that's fine. Yeah.
Okay. Ms. Gore, is that fine?
Fine.
All right. Okay.
Can we approve this?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, originally this meeting was to have been a workshop, a study session. And
Excuse
then-
me, did we move on that item?
No.
There was no action required. Unless you direct otherwise, there was no action on that previous.
We
item.
don't have to approve the resolution?
That's the notice he sent out. unless
You've
we
given
change
me, yeah, all I do now, staff will do is advise the grantees formally that these are the planning estimates for the new budget cycle. So I was moving on to the next item, looking at the time. Originally, this was to have been a workshop session. I'm recommending to you now, or proposing that we get into this workshop mode, and I'm bringing you to a point now of wanting to look at or ask some questions about what is it you want your cable commission to do in this telecommunications revolution. And I'm going to be closing with some points that will hopefully make you think that we have a basis for change here, that the Cable Commission as constructed in 1980 may not be the entity and the concept that's appropriate in 1997. I see this workshop spreading over our next however meetings. If I entice your interest and you want to schedule an additional meeting and you already have scheduled to get into this, I think that would be great. But now I'd like to review past and on the horizon policy issues and where we've gone. Second, the next piece would be to talk and try and shake you a little bit about the telecommunications revolution that's going on and some of the options and alternatives. I found that elected officials in all our jurisdictions are not real up to date or up to speed on what's progressing. Third, I think it should be an opportunity for the community programming grantees to tell you what their vision is of this commission if it's different than what you have right now. And lastly, probably in September, looking at where we are, to invite you to sit down and look and see if you want to redefine some of your goals, priorities, etc. To me, the best way to put this in perspective for you is what have been the major issues this commission has addressed. And I started with August of '89 when I got this job, so I'll walk through quickly. I'm sorry that Isla's not here because she's the only member of your board who's been through all of these, but I want to show you the policy circumstances, the big ones that we've been through. So the first flash, please. PacWest settlement, we cut a check to $6 million to Pacific West, and we settled $160 million in change in lawsuits. This was a major policy discussion, a major negotiation that involved many of you. The lawsuits changed the overall design we had for cable television early on, but this is one that took a lot of time, a lot of issue, a lot of negotiation, and we're still working on the residual lawsuit with our insurance companies because of this. This is one that we pretty much inherited. It happened very quickly between August and December. Next point. Came to you with a problem in April of '90. Sacramento Cable was almost 2 years behind in their construction completion. We'd taken no action. There were about 5,000 homes that we could identify within the community that did not have cable service. And I found identified and brought to you a hole in our resolution in that there was no requirement for Sacramento Cable to rapidly wire a new home constructed within the imposed service area. There's been tremendous infill, especially in the 4th District and 5th District, as new homes were built. So I brought to you a recommendation, a policy which was negotiated with Sacramento Cable that works very well. It says, any new home identified to the Commission's office that isn't served by cable in 60 days gets free cable for as many days thereafter as it takes, and the penalty goes $1, $2, $4, $6. We haven't had a problem since. So that was the second major policy issue. The point here was I tried to give you a policy alternative pre-negotiated with Sacramento Cable that had a long-term self-enforcing aspect of it. Next point, please. Customer service regs. I actually went to Toby Johnson in October of '89 and said, Sacramento Cable has some serious problems with customer service. Advice of counsel is that we, under the '84 Act, can adopt customer service regulations. We went to Sacramento Cable in a 6-month process, encouraging them to adopt their own standards and asked them to monitor and be accountable to their own standards. They rejected us, and we went through a process of implementing and enforcing customer service regs in 1991. We were pretty much the first in the country to do that. The FCC adopted customer service regulations as a model in the 92 Cable Act, which ours were one of 8 used as the base for those. The cable industry has adopted its own customer service standards, which include one of the regulations we originally promulgated, that one which says if you miss an appointment, you get a month's free service. The industry now promotes that. Again, we were about 2 years ahead of the curve, implemented customer service regs. One of the things we implemented in our customer service regs, and you can go around the country now and see it, is this general rate and programming disclosure, this little 3-part fold-out. Initially, the first year or two, not many people read it, but over time, more and more people do read it, have educated themselves about what the rules are, and now deal with the cable company directly, taking telephone calls away from you and telephone calls away from us. Again, we tried to be out ahead of the curve. Next point. The Cable Act of 92, we started working on at the same time, recognized that there were some stillborn cable acts before then. But there is a thing called the Sacramento Amendment in the Cable Act of 92, which says that local governments cannot be sued or be sanctioned for liability in First Amendment suits. The judicial decisions are limited to declaratory relief. That is the Sacramento Amendment. That's how it's referred to. And that gets back to our $6 million settlement in 1989. We led the charge at that time on lobbying for additional outlets having a cost associated with their actual cost to the cable company plus a reasonable return. The additional outlet charge here, as I recall, was $7. Now it's $0. So again, we led on a policy basis in the federal process on that particular piece. Next, please. We issued a license under your licensing ordinance in 1993 to Cable America. Recognized that this was the company that wanted to move off Mather Air Force Base into the Rancho Cordova area. Your 1988 settlement with Pac West and your license ordinance pretty much says local government will not be the barrier to entry for new cable systems in Sacramento. A month later, we were sued by Sacramento Cable Television under that policy, and it's the only new lawsuit that's come at us since 1989. It took about 14 months. We won that lawsuit at trial court level. We also won it at appeal level. Next slide. In 1993, we were one of the first franchising authorities out of the gate on rate regulations. And that's something that has moved forward. I've shown you the chart before. I can show it to you again now. The rate regulations had for consumers, a good short-term effect as predicted, and now they seem to be something that is questionable. Next slide. Next point. The 1996 Act had several things that we started talking about in 1994. One was the importance of maintaining at the local government level authority over the right-of-way. The initial drafts of the Communications Act in 1995 had preemption language, which would have granted to the FCC permitting authority, essentially, for telecommunications providers to use your right-of-way. We did lose, however, the policy definition of deregulation for the rates of cable television on an actual competitive basis. We lost that battle. The cable industry's second tier, the enhanced tier of service, will be deregulated in March of '99, whether or not there is real competition. But we fought hard on that one, and you can recall we talked about this in 1994. Next slide. That's going backwards. We've had these 5 or 6 major policy issues where I've tried to bring them to you in advance. Where possible, I've tried to bring you solutions or alternatives that had a lasting effect. On the customer service side, I tried to bring you regulations that were self-enforcing. As I look forward, there aren't too many major policy issues on the horizon. Let's look. The issue I described earlier, this is an operational one. We'll need to crack how in your cable television ordinance, and I'll offer it applies to the other JPAs as well, how new cities will be represented. We'll have that one for you in June. Otherwise, the future of rate regulation. I want to watch what happens in Washington. John McCain, the gentleman from Arizona who ran for president, is the new chair of the Senate Commerce Committee. Congressman Townsend from Louisiana, I recall, is on the House side. They've expressed some concerns that once again the Congress accepted from the cable industry a pretense of competition when it hasn't existed. Sacramento Cable's rate increase, if you recall here, was moderated. When Wayne stood here at the last meeting, Sacramento Cable, in an unprecedented move, didn't take the full rate increase it could have. But across the nation, the CPI on cable industry rate increases are pushing the 3x, 3 times inflation again. This is under a regulatory environment. I've given you the chart. I have some concerns that the rate regulations as promulgated now by the FCC are such that we may want to decertify and get out of that. It isn't cost effective for us to be in it, and it gives a semblance of a local government body approving rate increases which it really has no authority over. So many things pass through that this may change. As I say, I'm watching this to see what the new Congress does, and I'll get back to you on it, but that's a potential policy issue on the horizon. And finally, the last point is, as we begin and move further on this workshop, are you interested in evolving as the industry is, as the technology is, as the revolution is, from a regulatory body to maybe a body which is not as regulatory, but maybe more economic development policy oriented, more telecommunications deployment policy oriented in the future? I hope in the next workshop to talk about some of the opportunities that exist to cities, to counties, to regions as we look at this telecommunications revolution. I'd like to shake you a little bit. For the city members, we did part of this morning to the Mayor's Economic Advisory Council to begin trying to surface this issue. This revolution now is coming at us in so many ways in the community, on the economic development side, also internally, operationally. So in future workshops, I want to bring you in and raise these questions.
Rich, Mr. Chair?
Yeah, Don.
On that last point, Rich, just beyond just the skeletal outline you just gave, give me a for example of how you would see, and maybe there's a whole lot of it, and I don't want to take the thunder from the next workshop, but I'm curious as to how we get into economic development and or with telecommunications.
These are all possibilities, Mr. Natoli, but I know that the city soon, the county not quite as soon, will be looking at putting its staff resources into developing policy statements on telecommunications, on deployment, on internet for schools, on connectivity for local business, for telemedicine, for telecommuting. Would this body be an appropriate one to help frame those policies to bring back or to pass through to your other jurisdictions? You came together on the cable television mode essentially for efficiency, so that all the jurisdictions would be treated equally and that you wouldn't be reinventing the same wheel in each of those locations. It may be that the policy on internet deployment at schools, libraries, neighborhoods, homes, for the county is different than that for the city. But the research and the process in developing that and the groundwork, the focus to doing that may want to come out of a board such as yours and then pass back to the other jurisdictions. That's one. The same thing applies in telecommuting. The same thing applies, even though each of you have begun this now, the issue of cellular tower placement is very hot in the city. The city's coming through with a very good ordinance, and the city has coordinated that with the county. So within the city and county, it looks like there'll be very close to a common policy on cellular towers. The city is moving ahead now on a policy on street cuts. It's one I don't take credit for it, but it's one I discussed with city folks about 18 months ago and has now moved forward because that's been on the burner on policy issues. There are more, and that one may cross over to the county as well.
Yeah, so let me stop you on that one. What about where's the county with street cuts?
Well, the answer to your question with respect to the county is in the process of developing stricter standards as it relates to street cuts and encroachment permits. That's an ongoing project that Tom Zlatkowski is working on.
No, I knew. I'm just wondering where we were. I said I knew I knew the project was going on, David.
Yeah. Right. I think he's 60 days. It's my understanding that next 30 to 60 days he'll have a program to bring to the board.
Right. What you can do from your perspectives, or what you may wish to do, is to study and look at the crossovers between those. The issue or the process of cellular towers, of wireless towers, is a very appropriate one. On one hand, the county is providing access to this building to put on towers. On another hand, the General Services Department is contracting for wireless telephones, cellular telephones. Other jurisdictions, by adopting general policies, have linked those two processes to the mutual benefit of all parties. I'll offer to you that in many jurisdictions who have looked at it from that perspective, in Los Angeles especially, the cost benefit to the government entity has been a product of 4 to 6 times. A cellular tower company, and I can document the cases, is willing to give you services 4 times the hard cash dollar that they give you of the $700 a month for the antenna. Again, those policies, those procedures, those thoughts, that knowledge, you have the staff to bring to you to help frame, and then, if you like, pass those back. I could go on for an hour of issues in the telecommunications arena. This issue of two-way. If it's your desire to have return path from Galt or from Folsom, sure, we can go out and we can spend big dollars to do that ourselves. But if that were adopted as a policy over time in coordination and discussion with the multitude of telecommunications providers digging up our streets, are there ways that we might be able to negotiate that in return for some other things? That policy perspective, that big picture perspective, in part a training of elected officials to be cognizant of those different roles can be very helpful. Those are things that we have the potential to bring to you. That's what I'd like to talk about over the next 3 or 4 Cable Commission meetings.
I would just like to say I think that's very appropriate, because one of the things that's happening in the city right now, which is very interesting to me, is that these communication people come in and they corner each of us. I don't know if it's happening over here, Dave or Donnie, but they corner us, and I don't even know what the going rate is for a tower. But I got $20,000 for mine, and I put it back in my district. Now, the rate has fluctuated. It's like, what's the best deal? It's like buying a car. Like, what's the best deal you can cut? And the point of it is that I don't know what's happening over here in the county, but as they come into the city, it's like crazy over in the city. They're negotiating with all of us individually.
Right, and the economic development side of this is that as we get into identifying what this revolution is, and why I say this is not a regulatory mode, it's an economic development mode. We want our community, our cities and our counties, in our county, when these people come to town, we want to greet them with a handshake. Now, this is different, because we want this technology deployed. This is where the future is. This is what's going to bring new business to our town. This is how we're going to educate, distance learning, other things in the future. So the mode's different, the thinking is different. Some cities haven't seen it that way. Some cities have seen it in the old style. So part of this is an education process. Mr. Pennell, I'll offer that I'm aware of jurisdictions that have been hit hard on the cellular tower issue, but they got together and adopted a policy that said, we want the best for our community, and we don't want your district looking better than someone else's. So they adopted a policy of favored nations. We want us all treated equally. Maybe we want that, maybe we don't want that, but I can bring you those policy considerations and say, here's the pros and cons. In San Mateo, the county and 11 cities worked together. They put out to bid all the likely sites at one time. It made it faster for the industry. It got the systems deployed quicker. Everybody was treated the same.
Well, one of the things I'd like to see you do, and anybody can speak up, I'd like to see something like that. But I'd also like to see some of the communities that have worked together that moved a system like you just explained to us. I really haven't seen that. But I think that makes a lot of sense when, in fact, people understand what's on the table. When we're being hit one by one and being isolated, I don't know if Jimmy Yee has one in his district, and I don't run and say, Jimmy, I just got him for this. I mean, unless we're just talking about it. The whole point of it is all of us kind of like you put in your back pocket and you delegate the money to the district to do things that you just don't get budgetary-wise. But what I'm saying is it just seems to make sense if we can all see the same vision.
Right. And I'd like to begin articulating that vision. The difficulty is that's not within your mission now, so we have to move to that through a process of education, discussion, policy.
Okay. Anybody, any questions?
Appreciate it. No, Rich, I think what you're saying here is good, because what it does is it gives us information at a higher level as opposed to us trying to get the information individually.
That's correct.
And even though it's not directly related, cable certainly is amongst those competing with telecommunications. So I do appreciate keeping us informed as to what's out there.
And then if you want to move into that in more depth.
Yeah.
That was the first part of the workshop. I hope at the next time we can go in a little more depth about the nature of the revolution. After that, I suggest that you ask your community programming grantees how they see the future, and then we budget time at the fourth session, or maybe the third and fourth session at one time, to work through some of policies. If you want to move into that, then we try and specify that in the ordinance, and if you so desire, broaden your role. If not, that's fine too. If not, then I'm saying that the role of the Cable Commission, with the occasional crisis that may hit, is compacting.
Yeah. One other question, Rich, is what kind of authority do we have over satellite TV?
None.
Absolutely none.
The licensing was from the FCC. The satellite industry was very clear to get federal preemption of any kind of local utility tax or other applications on satellite. I have a couple of theoretical things we might be able to work on with some lawyers if we got there, but the satellite industry is pretty much on its own. Right now they have about 4.5% of the video market. What's interesting, however, is that the market is expanding. Since satellites have hit, yes, some of their subscribers are coming from cable, some are coming from people who didn't have antennas before. It's sort of interesting. The market's getting bigger.
All right. Anybody else? Okay.
The last item is just a staff summary of a few administrative issues. Some of it's mea culpa, some different things. In December, we took over responsibility for the video system in this chamber. To the best of my knowledge, there's been only one problem since. I can't tell you how many problems there would have been that haven't happened, but we are now maintaining this chamber under your authority. Mr. Dickinson left. We're having a tough staff time doing the annotation on the channel. It's difficult with our staff and the people that we have to stay with the meeting and put the notes on the screen. But we're working on it. It isn't going as smoothly as I like, but it means having someone paying attention to the meeting and being able to phrase what you're doing correctly, and it's more difficult than we thought. We're covering Citrus Heights. I mentioned that to you. 4 meetings, 5 meetings, lots of discussions, but Sac City Schools is meeting in the City Council chamber and is being cablecast. We're getting lots of feedback on that. We've been working on that one for 4 years.
Kind of glad you're doing that.
At the last meeting, I asked you for authority to define better our assistance to other entities in doing programming tapes, both in this chamber, in the City Council chamber, and for outside. To date, we've got one going now with the Air Quality District. We've got one going with the city on their homeless forum coming up on April 5th. We have one, possibly 2 going with Bob Koch and Health and Human Services, and we continue to work with SAC Decisions. So we don't have any done yet, but as you see either in the scope of your meetings, on the channel, or in the community, a 15 to 20 minute tape where we've taken some all-day session or some 4-hour conference, boil it down to a summary, and pushed it out. That's what we're doing to assist.
Mr. Chair, I might suggest that there are going to be a number of local forums on welfare reform, and that might be an opportunity to either capture on tape one or several of those to combine them for purposes of, I think, getting that out to folks. And the presentation may be much the same. Might want to coordinate with Cheryl Davis, with the Department of Human Assistance, but that's going to be an issue that certainly from a budgetary standpoint, as well as a programmatic standpoint, and just in the community as a whole, we're going to have some tremendous challenges with. I think it might be helpful for those who regularly view Channel 14 to get an opportunity to learn a little bit more about welfare reform, and there may be some way to input some of the information you do as you do on our board items on the channel, just to show 1 through 7 are these are county priorities and so forth. So maybe some opportunities there, Rich. And I think that's a very timely subject and one that the public needs to know more about on a local level.
We've got a strategic planning session tomorrow. I'll see Cheryl tomorrow.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Doley. Mr. Waters.
Is there any money left to technology fund to, the problems we're having with the rerun drop-down stack when nobody's here on Saturday night type things? Is that going to be fixed in the near future or not?
We've set the money aside. We put the money in reserve. If you recall in the budget, I said I'd come back to you in January with a plan. I haven't, and Randy hasn't advised me of the equipment at the price point that we're comfortable with. I've been trying to hold on to take us to a digital technology. I've authorized Randy to go to the NAB conference. Compression, I want us on a system that will go another 10 to 12 years.
That's fine, but I know that you did tell me last year it was outdated.
Yeah, it's still, I don't want to drop 100,000. And right now would probably take that. We've got to let the technology catch up with our needs. In the meantime, we keep taking the parts off one and fixing the other.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? Okay.
Thank you.
Is there anything else, anybody here in the public is that it, Mr. Festus?
No speakers.
Huh?
No speaker forms turned in.
Okay, anybody?
Mr. Fennell, I have just general question.
Yes, sir, Mr. Yee. Take any
Rich,
general
and
question.
maybe Access can tell me, or cable, SAC cable. But when I go from one channel to 14, the volume appears to me to drop off. So I have to increase the volume. And as soon as I go...
That sounds like a personal problem, Mr. Yee. May I be your
Well,
TV?
that's why I'm asking. Is it a personal problem here, or is that generally the...
I move that it's a personal problem.
Let us check. There are standards and thresholds that the audio from each source is set to. Is it city council or board or both?
It's whatever's on channel 14. So it's not just the city council, it's just when
whatever. Okay, let us check. We source from two places. There's electronics that clip the audio level. We get complaints if it's too loud. If it's too low, we'll check it and see if we have to turn it up a little bit.
Okay.
Randy's listening.
Turn us that down.
What'd you say?
Mrs. G might.
Never mind.
Anything else come for the body? We are now adjourned. Give me.